did a recent experience doing a VIP tour in Disneyland.
It was pretty interesting. Kids were super pumped. We got to do a VIP tour in Disneyland, which is the first time we've ever done that. We're famous now.
We felt famous during it. It's so awesome.
It was pretty fun.
And we did, I mean, truth be told, there's a lot of ramen eating beforehand in order to experience this tour. But today we're going to talk about the start of the a little bit about the history. This is unlocking the magic of the VIP tour and share some differences between there's a Disneyland version, there's a Walt Disney World version, our experience, of course, what to expect. And then we did a list out of pros and cons because like anything in Walt Disney World or wherever you're vacationing, whether you're going to Universal Parks or you're doing a cruise, there's pros and cons for every different style of vacation that you're looking to do. And it depends on your family and your family's vacation style, whether or not these might align for you.
Not to be confused with Bruce and Cons, which is this podcast.
Bruce and Cons. So Bruce will be the negative one.
We should do that. We should do Bruce and Cons. Like we did Flush It, Crush It, or Flush It. Bruce and Cons instead of Pros and Cons.
Yeah.
We should totally do that. Except it'd be the opposite, though, because like you're super positive.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite.
No.
I'm like the grumpy old man.
I didn't say that.
I did.
I know.
It's fine. Listen.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Well, before we get started the show, I just wanted to say real quick, thank you so much for following us over on Instagram, sending us your messages. We've been getting lots lately, and we just really appreciate the support. You guys have been heading over to our merchandise shop where we now have some really fun T-shirts. And there's one that's like Primetime Cafe shirt. There's, of course, the infamous Tonga Toast or the...
I think the most popular shirt in our store nowadays is My Heart Says Polly or My Wallet Says Pop. I'm pretty sure that's the most popular one we've sold, the most sales so far.
Or I think it might actually be the Dole Whip one. I like Dole Whips and 3 people.
I think that's getting there,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been around long enough.
That's true. I'm really excited.
But if you're into pizza, we got I Like Pizza and maybe 3 people too.
I mean, who doesn't like pizza?
I should do Tonga Toast one.
Do it. I think there is one on there with Tonga Toast.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I think there is. You don't even know it's in our store.
That's true. I don't know what's in our store, but we got a lot of stuff over there, and they're pretty fun shirts, so go check it out. You can go to unlockingthemagic.com/merch, or just click the merch link over on our website. Oh, you can also join us on Patreon if you want to. $5, you can support the team and hang out inside of there if you would like as well.
Yeah. I like our merchandise now. We have collection. So if you're going to Universal, there's some Monster Mash kind of OG stuff for Universal that I really like. There's Creatures of the Black Lagoon merchandise. So some fun things that if you want to go over there. But anyway, thank you so much for your support. If you haven't bought a shirt or if you don't belong to Patreon, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. But you're just listening to this show. Thank you so much for just listening. I hope that you enjoy it. You know, one free thing that you could do is just share out the show. So that really helps us a lot.
Listen, you don't have to do
the history of these tours. So
honestly, I didn't know there was any history. I just thought it was like, all right, there's rich people out there. Let's do something for these people who have lots of money to throw around.
We're not rich, so I guess that's not necessarily don't pigeonhole it.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
We've been doing this for 10 years now.
That's true.
So it took us 10 years to do a VIP tour. It's not like we just started a podcast and like, yeah, let's go do a VIP tour. We might as well stay in concierge too.
Might as well, right?
So that's that thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was a history to this. I just thought that Disney was like, you know what? Rich people. They got money.
Let's do it.
The more we sell to rich people, the less we got to do for more money.
I mean, that's a smart thing, right? I mean, they've got so many different things now to add on to your experience where,
right?
Depending on your wallet size, you can wait in lines or not. I mean, that's the kind of the way.
Buy the money, y'all.
Right. Well, there is a little bit. I'll just share a little bit. There's a lot to talk about in this episode, so I don't want to go too far with it. But basically, it really started with Walt Disney, and
no way. Did it really? He was the first rich guy to go to Disney, wasn't he?
He was the first.
He was
guy.
like, you know what? I'm rich. I don't want to wait in lines. What do I got to do for my friends like me?
Let me tell you this story. Are you ready? So Disney VIP tours began with the original Disneyland Ambassador program, started a little later, by Walt himself at Disneyland Park, which is in California. The first ambassador was Julie Costello. Now, Julie Costello...
Is it Costello or Casaletto?
Oh, I'm sorry. Casaletto. Wow. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
Okay. After high school, Julie attended California State.
Julie Costello was out there being like, what? I was the first one? I didn't know that.
I know Costello. That's why my brain... This is the problem when you read too fast. I shouldn't read on the show at all. But here we go. After high school, Julie attended California State Long Beach to study speech. As part of her job, she became a tour guide at Disneyland. Working weekends and summers in the park, she soon became known to Walt Disney and quickly got to experience Walt's sense of humor. I have to share this story. So she said, I had first met him in the park when I was a tour guide, Julie recalls. He followed me up Main Street. One of the members of Julie's group tour was upset that there was a man who hadn't paid for it following the tour.
That was me. That was me.
Was that you, Bruce?
That might have been me.
She continues to say, she told Julie that the man shouldn't get the same information as a paying guest. Julie had hoped that Walt overheard and would move along because, as she said, it, quote, it would have been highly unusual to go up to the man who owned the place and tell him to run along. He just winked and grinned at me and walked away. I think he enjoyed taking you on a little bit of by surprise and seeing your reaction to things. He delighted in seeing other people delighted.
That's why when we said, I think on last week's show, one of the questions was if you could go to any time in history for a park, where would you want to go? And I said a couple years after Disneyland opened, when the stress was gone and it was kind of like, all right, this is going to work.
He was a little chill.
Yeah, you could see him walking around. Like he always said that he would walk around and go on rides and kind of wait in line to see what that was like. He wanted to experience it as a guest. So I think that's pretty funny that she had that happen to her.
The guest was annoyed that somebody was tagging along. Meanwhile, it's Walt Disney. So Disney.
She's like, you know what? That Walt Disney guy, he's an amazing boss. He's the best boss around. Oh, he's right there.
Yeah. Whoops. Disney VIP tour guides are still handpicked and they're expertly trained. And many of you see them dressed in the iconic plaid costumes, and they all sport a D pin, and that's representing Walt Disney himself. And I think that's the element that makes it so wonderful, is to really know the history of where it all began.
Didn't we get one of those on the tour?
We did. I've heard that they, like, people try to sell them on eBay or something.
That was me.
Oh.
We got like a lot of them. I don't need that many.
No, okay. All right. Well, what did you expect with this tour in general?
I expected to do anything I wanted in the park at any moment in time.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back to...
My expectations may have been a little too high.
Oh, okay.
But we can talk about that.
All right. So communication prior to the visit. Now, you were getting the communication because it was your real big... It was essentially your big gift to our family for the holidays. And this was something you planned.
Yeah, our kids are getting older, right? And as your kids get older, you realize that
you have to bribe them.
You have to bribe them, but like you can only do so many things. Like everybody, especially we have 3 kids, and they're all old now, and they all have jobs and friends and sports, and to gather them together to do something happens less and less frequently. When they were younger, we would just be like, "You're coming with us." Like you have no choice. And now that they're a little older, they have a little bit more of a choice. So you have to gather them together. And I wanted to do something that we could remember, like at least once a year, do something. One big trip or one big outing or something that we can look forward to as a family, and then they can remember. So we may be able to do more in the future for this year, but like we did our one thing for this year, and this was it.
Yeah, we don't really buy gifts during the year or do anything like that, and we don't really do much more for Christmas. So this was a nice little surprise.
Yes.
I came up with the Wordle. I came up with the idea. I said, all right, this is their Christmas gift, but I don't want them just to open it. I mean, I know they're going to be pumped when they see it, but I want them to do a little work too, because that's just, is it cruel parenting? I don't know. I just wanted to extend the experience for myself, knowing that it's really also a present for me. I'm really excited. So I went and got these letter blocks, and what we did was we each gave the 3 of them certain amount of letters, and then when they each opened the box, they all got letters.
They had to figure it out, like what it was, which was fun to watch for Christmas.
I thought that was a really fun idea.
But I was communicating with the person, I don't know what was the person who was kind of organizing.
Francisco.
Yeah, it was Francisco. That's fun to say. They were great. They were really responsive and did a good job of asking us, like, all right, how many people in your family? Like, they want to kind of know what you want out of the experience before you get there. And I remember being like, we've never eaten at Blue Bayou before. Like, there's one restaurant in Disney that we haven't eaten at, and I really wanted to go. And I was looking for reservations that day, and there was nothing available. And I emailed him, and I was just like, all right, let me just email him for the heck of it and see if he can get anything. And he ended up getting us a reservation for there. So that was great. Now, I'm sure that's not like something they can do all the time,
Right.
But it can't hurt to ask.
No, the answer is always no unless
Right?
you ask.
I'm
right?
asking for everything.
I like that attitude, and
But they were very responsive and very like organized with how you're going to start your tour, the times, like what you want to see, so that they can give the guide a little bit of background about you guys before you start it.
Yeah, and
which was good.
Yeah, and he was really like you said. They try to customize it to everybody can have their own experience with a VIP tour, and they want to get to know you just like we do, or we talk about a lot with our travel agency and the travel agents that work with us. They all do the same, right? They really try to get to understand your personality and see what's the best fit for you. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? So that's a key element.
Our tour was for 6 hours. 6 hours. It could be any 6 hours you want during the open hours of operation during Disneyland. We just chose Disneyland. We could have went to, like, you can park hop if you want, but you have to have a park hopper ticket. And we just be like, you know what, let's just focus on Disneyland, see what we can do there. And we chose a certain time. But I think you should be a little strategic with the time you pick, don't you think? Because, like, if you don't want to do it first thing in the morning, because you don't really need to. Like, all those rides were kind of open.
Well, I think there was a couple of things for us. First of all, we had just got to Southern California, and you're kind of used to New England time, so you're kind of up really early. So it kind of makes you want to do things early because you know you're going to get tired later in the day. But yeah, to your point, if you rope drop and get there early at Disneyland, which we talk about a lot, you do see a seemingly empty park. You can go do the rides in Fantasyland pretty quickly. So it probably wouldn't have been the best time for us.
Well, unless you want, we chose 10 to 4. That was our time frame. It was like, all right, 4 o'clock is really 7 o'clock East Coast time. That's when everybody kind of starts to get tired. And then we actually decided to go to dinner a couple hours after the tour. So we got to go back to the room, change, and then go to dinner. So we got to maximize that 6-hour time with whatever we wanted to do in Disney Park.
So arrival day, I didn't realize. So we actually meet the guide inside. So we were staying at the Disneyland Hotel, but the tour guide meets you at the Grand Californian lobby.
Yeah, there's a check-in desk there. Like, you go to the desk,
which I've never seen before. I walked
It's
by.
like hidden. It's like incognito. It's almost like, it almost feels like, you know how you think of a cartoon and they have like an area, and then all of a sudden, like, you hit a button and like it flips upside down and the desk pops up? That's what I thought happened. Because I'd never seen it before until I was looking for it right there. But then they have a whole desk with someone sitting there checking you in, and then they have like a whole merchandise area. Not a merchandise, like a merchandise cabinet that you can buy specifically for VIP guests.
That a merchandise cabinet is the best way to put
they
it.
really maximize the rich people thing. Yeah, you're rich, you're going on this VIP tour. How about some exclusive, expensive VIP merch
So remember
to
your
go
time.
along with your rich day?
Which you don't have to do because when you check in, they have little offers. So I was psyched to see they have branded little sunscreen, which who doesn't need a little sunscreen, you know, when you're in Southern California, depending on the season. So you always get that. And that, for me, that lasts forever, the bottle. So we all got to get the little sunscreen. And then we waited in the lobby, just a few. We were pretty early because we were kind of not sure what to expect. Like Bruce said, I probably walked by that desk 100 times at least, and I've just never noticed it. Or like you said, maybe it just magically appears.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. Maybe they were expecting us, so like someone sits there because they're expecting you.
Yeah. And so, of course, there's the lobby, which, oh my gosh, the Grand Californian lobby with the fireplace going and the rocking chairs. It's so cozy and so inviting. So it's a really great way to start your morning. You're going in there, enjoying, you know, whatever you had for breakfast. You're kind of burning it off by rocking in those rocking chairs and just enjoying the moment. And then that's when we met our wonderful guide. And when she came up to us, it felt like my initial reaction was, well, first I thought the person we were communicating with, or you were communicating with, Bruce Francesco, I thought that was our tour guide. I didn't realize like he was sort of like the reservation handler, but your tour guide you meet for the first time during the tour. And she was lovely, but I didn't know that. So when we met, she fit right into our family. And that's when you're presented that little pin. So you do get some kind of a token for the trip, which I loved, right? You don't necessarily have to get super carried away with the merchandise.
No, you don't have to buy anything. Like, they offer it, but you don't have to purchase anything. That would be weird if they made you purchase it. All right, here you offer your VIP. Now you have to buy something.
You're not going to buy something? That's
would be
weird.
Not fun.
So we met our guide and we started the journey to Disneyland. We did not do a park hopper. I really wanted to experience Disneyland with the tour guide. I really wanted to, I think, just go through and enjoy maybe some of the secrets of Disneyland and storytelling that, you know, you all know I love. I've probably heard a lot of the stories before, but it's really fun hearing it from someone else too and being present in the moment with her. So when we met, we started walking, and what really caught me by surprise is our kids are pretty introverted, I would say. Our youngest is in between, but she's more outgoing if she's known you for a while. Like, people will say, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you seem so extroverted." Well, it's usually because she's around people she knows. But for the most part, when it comes to meeting people for the first time, she's very reserved. And she was ahead with the tour guide the whole time. It seemed like they were best friends right away.
I think the girls had more enjoyable time with the tour guide than we did, which is not a bad thing.
Which made me really appreciate it, because before the tour, your nerves get to you. It is expensive. It's something that can be out of reach, and you plan for it for so long and you save for it so long that your expectations are a certain point and you just don't want to be disappointed. And I will tell you, just having my kids have that interaction and really being, it's like, they're at that age now where they still love being with us, but it's mom and dad. Mom and dad do this for work, and they talk about things, and some of the stuff kind of goes over their head. I always remember the age when I was a teen and my dad, and I always say, oh, I wish my dad lived longer, because now that I'm older, I just appreciate so many things that he used to say that were just, I used to ignore. So having them walk with the tour guide, and the tour guide was pointing things out to them, they were listening and they were retaining it and they were enjoying it. They were smiling, and I was saying to myself, it's worth every penny right there.
Yeah, plus the fact that you don't have to have your phone out, really.
Totally. I think that's one of the key things that
you're allowed to be in the moment. Yeah, you pay a lot of money to do this, but you're allowed to kind of be in the moment and enjoy your family. You don't have to worry about anything. You just tell the tour guide what you want to do, and they kind of handle that for you, whether that be showing you the way, bringing you on, or organizing it for you to do, and then kind of ushering you in, which was great.
I really love that part of it, especially, again, with teens who, they have iPhones now, and they are often on them no matter what we say. It's kind of hard, especially when you're in a park. You have to make reservations or whatever, and also use your walkie-talkie, right? Your phone and your walkie-talkie as part of it. Whereas the tour, it really allowed our kids to check out and just be young again and be in the moment again. And really, there was no excuse. I mean, I never had to tell them once about, I think they knew. I mean, this was a very special occasion, but at the same time, I never really had to remind them, which was really, really nice.
Yeah.
They had great attitude. So
good.
So as we walked through, one of the things I know that they asked, so our tour guide asked us from the beginning was, what are your expectations of the day? Like, what do you want to see? And I know that one of the things our kids wanted to do was really ride all the rides.
Yeah, they wanted to be able to ride as many as they possibly can. And that's kind of all they wanted to do.
They not only wanted to ride the rides, but what is amazing about the VIP tour is you're not limited. So you can go, if you want to spend the entire day riding Space Mountain, you can do that.
Yeah, you can go on the same ride. This is the difference between buying those multi-lane passes or this is, because you look at the price and you're like, it's kind of the same price. Why don't I just buy that? And then it's maybe even a little cheaper to do the same thing. But like you said, if you want to go on Space Mountain 10 times in a row, you can do that.
It really helps you customize it. And I think that also was what was empowering and exciting, was that not only do you feel so cool with the VIP tour guide, right? You're like, wow, like, just really feels extra special. You also get to create the Disneyland day of your dreams. And of course, for me, that was a lot of Fantasyland, and the kids loved that. I gotta say, one of the things that really impressed me that day was the fact that we kind of all each took out of the trip what we wanted.
Yeah, and the difference between this and the passes is you pay for this by the hour, not by the person. So you can have up to 10 people in these groups, but you pay a certain amount of money an hour based on like how busy the park is or busy the time frame. Obviously, around Christmas time or New Year's, it's probably going to be really expensive. But you can divide that up. So if you have a family of 5 and you want to bring another family of 5, you can divide that up between the two families and do the same thing.
What I really, really loved the most, and many of you probably know this already because I talk about this a lot, I absolutely adore Fantasyland and Disneyland. It is nostalgic. It feels like Walt's right behind you. It just has that ambiance that I don't feel in Walt Disney World's Fantasyland. Although it's fun, I just love the romance that Disneyland's Fantasyland provides. Especially they have some really unique attractions like the Alice in Wonderland, I think is unique, and of course Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is there, so that's fun. But what was really neat was the VIP tour for those attractions. There was no queue.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the older attractions is if there's no lightning lane, you just go right into the exit. So for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or Peter Pan or Snow White, you just kind of went into the exit one and went right on, which was fun.
I wasn't expecting that, nor were the kids, and that really made it really elevated. We got to do so much of all of Fantasyland, and this trip was the very first time where I finally got to ride Dumbo. And I know that sounds silly because you're like, okay, what's great about Dumbo? Isn't it just for really small children or what? But I think because this time it also puts you all in the moment, right? That we talk about this on the show a ton, but it's sometimes easier said, right? This time you really were present in the moment and really just aware, and there was no line really waiting. So you get onto Dumbo right away, and then before you blink, you're riding around, and in the distance is the castle that Walt actually constructed and saw and had part of. And something just really hit me. It was an emotion that I know I'm an emotional person, but I get like teary-eyed often. But that particular moment, I was like, wow, I really feel like Walt's here. It was a really beautiful moment that I'll never forget.
All right, let's get into some of these Bruce and cons.
Yeah, let's go through. Well, first of all, let me just say a couple of things to note if you're considering this tour. So first, tours can be booked up to 180 days advance.
Yes, Unlocking the Magic Travel can book them for you.
And we would be happy
if you want.
No, you should do that.
That's true.
You're really supporting the team. And by the way, I just really...
Hold on a second.
What?
By the way, if you are thinking about a VIP tour, I'll go with you if you want.
Let's go.
You know?
You know
what I'm saying?
That's all we got to say.
You know what I mean?
That's all we got to say about that.
All right, back to the show.
Well, now I got sidetracked.
You were talking about some logistics, I believe.
Well, no, before that happened, I really just wanted to give a quick shout out to people that have reached out to us for Unlocking the Magic. A lot of people, and I understand this, they really find joy of booking their own stuff, but they've messaged us and said, we just wanted to support your team, and our agents will be there by your side all the way and do as much or as little as you want them to. And it's just really been an amazing thing to hear, and I really appreciate it. I just got an email from a woman named Jane Austen, and it was so lovely, and she just really made my day. So thank you, by the way. All right, moving on. So 180 days in advance. Let's see, we're back. They can fill up during peak times, and they are booked on first come, first serve. So during peak times, you just gonna want to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We didn't go on a peak time, so the tour was actually readily available, which made it a lot easier, and we didn't really have to do too much. It was kind of a last-minute decision to really pull the trigger on this for us. All VIP tours require a theme park admission. Dining reservations are accepted up to 180 days advance. You can book them on your own, or you can have your...
I just emailed Francisco and said, hey, how about this one? He's like, sure, let me figure it out for you.
I think it's called Disney Signature Service.
That was great.
So that's a really extra spot. And the Blue Bayou was, the cherry on top for us. That was probably one of the best things. And like Bruce said, it can go from 1 to 10 guests. So,
and the other thing is gratuity is not included.
Right. So,
and that is confusing.
I know.
Like, I do not know if we paid too much or not enough.
I want to say just,
There's so much information out there about, and it's like contradicting information.
Yeah. You want to be generous because these guys are really doing, I don't know how they do it. First of all, they're dressed perfectly. Their hair's done. They just never look like a hot mess, and they're going with you all day long. They really deserve all the best. But yeah, that can be a little bit confusing. But what's really funny?
What's that?
Thinking about it can host ranging from 1 to 10 guests. Imagine just doing a VIP tour for one person. That's like really.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Stand aside, everybody.
But I think
just
it's
me.
pretty good if you have like 10 friends, because then if you all, it's different if you're a family of 5 like we were and we went alone, because then like the tip comes from the parents, right? And you like got to figure it out. But if you're like 10 people, you could go, well, I'll give like $50 for a tip or $100 for a tip, like for the whole day. It doesn't seem like as much if you do it that way with 10 friends.
All right, let's talk about the Bruce and cons.
All right, let's go. Bruce and cons.
Well, I'm just going to say pros and cons for now until we iron out how that's going to work. Let's start off with the list of pros.
Well, you go first. What was your couple pros that you had, or one pro?
So my absolute favorite had to be you get to experience the parks without ever looking at your phone. I remember even our kids said, I didn't even have to look at the map on my phone to kind of know where I was going. I would just follow the tour guide. I said I wanted to go here, and magically we were there. It was funny. After she left, we were like a little lost puppies.
Yeah.
So that was funny.
A con for me was a pro, rather, not a con. A pro for me was I think that strategically going around the park with the guide and just hopping right into the lightning lane or exit and going on and not having to like zigzag around was awesome.
I agree.
You know, even if you have passes or you want to go on, you're looking at the times of the attractions. Sometimes if you maximize the times, like you just get a park ticket and you just look at the wait times, you end up zigzagging back and forth between what the lowest times are. So you end up walking a lot. We just strategically did a circle around the park, and we just did whatever we wanted with that circle, which was fun.
All right, my next one is just the fact that it's the ultimate VIP feeling. And I mean, it's really the next best thing next to going on an Adventures by Disney. Obviously, Adventures by Disney is plussed up a lot for other reasons, but this one, for the moment and that day, I felt like a really VIP star.
I did too.
My next, do you have another one?
No.
Oh, my next one is you can split the cost with another group, and I think you mentioned that's probably why it's not on your list.
That's a pro and a con, I feel like. I feel a pro is that you don't have to do that. I mean, obviously, if you can afford to go. But like we did, go at a not, like we went probably at the lowest peak time.
Right.
And so the most affordable it would ever have been was when we went.
True, which...
And for 5 people, without 2 families, like you get to go pretty quickly through things.
Right, that's true. But again, we've talked about this in the past. The only con with that is that when you're not going on peak times, that's typically when a lot of refurbishment is happening.
That is true.
So
Haunted Mansion was down. The train was down after a couple days when we were there. The monorail was down.
Yeah, that's.
I was a little down because of all that.
You get bummed out because you forget that. Listen, this is why it's a little less expensive this time. But I mean, things made up for it. I would say the next thing, I'm going to save the best pro for last. The exclusive merch.
That's a pro?
I think I regret. I mean, there are levels, right? You could literally buy a jersey for they had like $200, which I would not do. But they had a hat.
You should just flip that stuff.
You should flip
it. I wish I looked on eBay when I was there and be like, you know what? That hat sells for $50. It sells on eBay for $75. I could make a quick $25. I'll take 10 of those.
I'll take 10. You can purchase the merch right when you check in, but all the way through to the end of your guide with your guide. So your guide can order the merchandise for you.
You know what?
And she was not pushy about it.
Not at all. That is a pro. I'm going to do that next time.
Oh, gosh.
Buy some merch to make some profit to pay for the tour. That is a pro.
We're moving on. Like I said, she wasn't pushy, but it is something
Listen, the guide said they go on eBay. She said it, not me.
The tours are customizable. I didn't really know how much of a customization they would do, but you can literally do things that you want to do. And
like if you are a character person, and you just want to hang out with characters all day, you can meet all the characters. Like, obviously, they're
speaking of that,
characters that are available, right? Not every single character is available. But if you message them beforehand and say, I really want to meet these 4 or 5 characters, they'll organize that for you.
Which reminds me, how did the kids get you to come to Mickey and Minnie's?
I don't know. They forced me.
That was actually impressive. Like, we both went to Mickey's house and Minnie's house. I adore Minnie's house.
I felt like friends with Minnie and Mickey though, because I went to like the backyard.
Yeah, you went. I
didn't have to go to the front entrance. I went to the backyard.
The side entrance.
Yeah, I went to the side entrance.
You're like Minnie and Mickey. We're VIP, so hi. It was really pleasant, and I will treasure those moments forever. And one thing that is amazing as well is that it came with photos.
True.
So they'll snap the photos with you and just give you all those photos and to treasure all those moments, which I really love. All right, my favorite absolute thing is you can book the same tour guide. So if you're lucky and fortunate enough to do it again in a lifetime, you can request a tour guide. And our tour guide was absolutely amazing. I'm going to say her name in a second. And what she told me was that she has seen families like grow up. There was one family in particular. She said there was a family with a son that has autism, and the VIP tour really helps them customize that Disney trip for him and create it so that they can do pretty much everything that they want his way. And ultimately, it was the friendship more than anything. It's not necessarily the VIP tour that he loved, was the fact that he loved Brittany. Brittany was our tour guide, and he absolutely adored her. And so,
our kids did too. Like, I have to say, she did a great job. Our kids felt very comfortable. And like you said earlier, they're not super comfortable around people they don't know.
What I loved, one thing, Brittany, we were in line we were getting ready to go on an attraction for one thing, and she wasn't joining us for that. And she said, it's about lunchtime. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find a great table for us. I'm going to hold and reserve that table. Whenever you're ready, just come over and meet me where the table. I'll text you the location so you get the direct phone number to her. And oh my gosh, that was just amazing. You just get this best table in an area that we probably wouldn't have secured on our own.
Right.
And
you don't have to be like that silly person who's got their food and looks really sad because there's no tables available and you're just holding your tray.
Oh, that's what I know. And I'm eating.
It's the worst. That's the worst in the world. But yep, that didn't happen.
All right, now for cons.
I mean, listen, there's
I don't know.
There's some Bruces in here.
Bruces.
It's pretty pricey, right? Especially if you go during a peak time, it could get upwards of $600 an hour, and if you go for 5 or 6 hours, that could be a pretty good price tag.
That's mind blowing.
Plus your ticket to get into the park, so you're not just paying for the VIP tour, you're paying for the park ticket as well.
So the price obviously isn't doable for everyone, or people don't want, like, there's a lot of sacrifices that you would probably have to make to afford something like this. And like you said, it can get really expensive if you're going on times where it's peak. So that's kind of mind-boggling when you say it out loud.
Yeah, 6 hours goes by like that too when you're doing these. It went by so fast.
It did go by fast.
Even though we got to do a lot. Next con, you can't do other parks unless you have a park hopper. We kind of touched on that in the first one with the price.
Right.
Since you have to have a park hopper there. You must, what does it say? You do miss out. Oh, you miss out on the anticipation of the queue.
I love
because
when
you
read
don't
my
see the
notes.
queue.
You don't see the queue, really?
I'm fine with that.
Is that a thing for you?
No.
Okay.
No thing. There's no queue that I can think of right now that I'm like, oh, shucks, I missed the queue.
Oh, I love queues.
I know, but like, is there one that you would
build up?
Yeah,
Space
you would
Mountain?
rather. Space Mountain queue's horrible.
What?
It's so bad.
Oh.
In Disneyland?
Yeah. You're getting on the starport. What are you talking? It's
You see the queue in Disneyland. Like, that's the thing. The queue in Disneyland that's good, you do see.
Where's the mute button?
So, I don't agree with that.
I'm just going to talk. I want to do my own show. When is that happening?
Anytime you want.
Okay.
Mine will be Disney. Mine will be UTM after dark. Yours will be UTM in the day.
In the daytime?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
Oh, this one was kind of awkward for me. I'm not going to lie. The tour guides ride the rides with you. I was not prepared for that. No one prepared me for that scenario where the tour guide's like, let's go. There's 5 of us. Who am I sitting with? I was like terrified in that moment.
Yeah.
It was the beginning. Like towards the end, I'm like, if you want to sit with me, Brittany, that's fine. I don't mind. Like you got to know her. So
right.
But the beginning, it's like, all right, we're going on Pirates. Who's sitting with me? I'm like, oh. What do you mean? Who's sitting with you?
Yeah. But we also didn't. Our kids loved her so. I know, I get it. Like, so you're speaking of someone that's a little bit introverted, doesn't really want to make conversation.
Only in the beginning too, because like towards the end, it didn't matter. You got to know her. You're hanging out with her for 4 or 5 hours to get to know her.
Right, but like it was something where she made our kids in such great moods, and this is, I mean, I think something that all families tend to see when they're on vacation, right? You know, people are jet lagged or whatever. Maybe they're not in the best of attitudes.
We forgot that part. The pros.
That's a huge...
Your kids don't act up at all because there's like a stranger with you. Like they're like, not that our kids act up, they're adults now. But when your kids are young and like somebody's with you that's not part of your family, they're always on their best behavior.
Yeah, I mean, our youngest is still in those teenager years where things can be a little difficult. If
by teenager years, she means the years where she hates her parents.
No, she doesn't hate her parents. She just sometimes the attitude.
Not hates, but like gets embarrassed.
Well, I have a whole
By
list.
you, not me. Not me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not me at all.
It's just my dad. I might have to get her over here to clarify. I'm pretty sure you've embarrassed her a bunch.
That's true.
But I think that's something that is natural, when you're on vacation, maybe you're out of element. There's times where people may have a meltdown. Of course, we're very mindful of this. And
Sorry about that.
It's fine. I try to know beforehand of what is like certain people's triggers. But it happens. But one thing with the guide is that we really are. It's like they're kind of presenting themselves and carrying themselves in a better way. And it's similar to, it reminds me of on a cruise when we sit with other families. You don't love it. You love kind of eating privately with the kids. But I really enjoy not only getting to know people, because we already obviously have something in common. We love Disney. We love cruising, wherever ship we're on. But also the kids act better. Yeah. Because there's somebody else watching them.
I'll have my kids act up on a cruise and sit by myself. I don't
Never
need to have
mind.
strangers sit with me while I eat. That's weird.
Okay, so that's also true. But we also never said, I think if somebody's really uncomfortable with that, you could certainly say.
No, I would never say that. I would never say, we don't want to ride with. Yeah, I would never do that. I would feel more awkward doing that than I would sit. I would sit with her and just keep her mouth shut.
Same.
So, but that's just be aware.
Yeah. So that, and I would say the last con for me would just be the fact that it can be sensory overload. So if you do something like ride to ride to ride and go back to back on them, it could be a little bit much. But maybe it's because our stamina has grown over the years. We don't really get the opportunity to do that, so we were more excited than anything. That didn't happen to us. But if you have younger kids, maybe, and you don't necessarily want to break too long, like we ate lunch for about 30 minutes, and you're very mindful of the clock because the time is ticking, and I don't know what happened to the earth, but it seems to be spinning faster, and those hours are going by much quicker. So that's the only, I would say, drawback.
I have one other con that's not on here that I didn't talk to you about before we do this podcast, but I want to say it.
Okay.
I think one other con of this is I think you should get the entrance to every attraction like you do Mr. Toad's. Like, I don't think you should have to wait in the lightning lane for this VIP tour. That was the one thing I was kind of bummed about. Like, you wait in the lightning lane, and if the lightning lane is long, you wait in that long line. So it could take 10 to 15 minutes, and you're on the VIP tour. I feel like with these VIP tours, they're expensive, right? I feel like if it should be, they should look at it and be like, all right, if there's a huge line there, all right, let's take you on. And I know that like people who are in the line are going to get bummed out, but I bought a VIP tour.
Right.
That's why you buy the VIP tour. That's why they're available. So that's the only, because it is expensive, right? So I feel like they should do that. I understand if the lightning lane's not long at all and be like, all right, let's go on. It's going to be a couple minutes. But some of them were pretty lengthy and we had to wait for a while. And I was like, why didn't I just buy that pass?
No, I think that I can see what you're saying. You almost like don't want to wait at all. But if you think about what we got done and how many attractions and how many times we actually did ride Space Mountain a few times, the kids wanted to, and the things that we saw, you really, I mean, we ate lunch and got a snack.
True.
I mean,
no, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying, like, I wish it was a little bit more
almost
up. I was expecting it to be a little bit higher step up than the lightning lane.
Gotcha.
The one pro I do have that you didn't mention and I forgot till just about now.
All right.
Is the tour guide gave us a whole bunch of like little secrets and hidden gems in the park that I didn't know about.
I forgot to mention that.
Like,
That's
I don't want to talk about it on this podcast because I feel like we could go over all of them and do our own podcast about all the ones she mentioned, because there was like 5 or 6 that she mentioned, just like stories behind the stories or little hidden gems that when you're in the park, if you don't have a tour guide with you, you're too busy to see. Mm-hmm. She pointed out, she's like, all right, we're going to Lightning Lane, but before we go on that, look at this.
Surprise.
There was like one near Indiana Jones. There was one in Toontown.
Yeah.
There was one on Mr. Toad's. Like, there was a whole bunch that she showed us and pointed out, which I thought was fun.
And she knew that we really appreciated that. So she was definitely sharing a lot. And the kids, and that's one of the greatest things too, is the fact that the kids were really retaining that info and really getting excited, hearing it from her than me.
Yeah, I have another con though.
Okay.
She wouldn't do the old, what's that over there? I asked her. I said, hey, can we just do the whole what's that over there and just go on? And she's like, no, we can't do that. I'm sorry.
Can we just go sit in Walt's house for a minute, Walt's apartment?
Yeah. We really can't do that. You're a VIP. Like, literally. You can't just do what's that over there and just go on?
I mean, I'm sure there's limits for a reason. Like you can't go ride on the Disneyland horse. Like Valentina, I think her name is. They call her Val, the horse.
Oh.
And you can't do that.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me bring snacks on a couple rides, you know?
No, I don't think you asked that.
I was a little bummed.
I don't know if you asked that. But
I can't eat this pizza on this Pirates of the Caribbean or these beignets. No.
I just ordered a bread bowl. What do you mean I can't bring this on Space Mountain?
Just kidding. I didn't ask her that.
I know you didn't.
But, yeah, I thought the little secrets, the hidden gems that she showed us was fun. That was a really good fun. Like, kids loved it.
The kids really loved it. And
because, like, we say that stuff to the kids all the time, and they don't care.
It's gotten to that point, right? So in the early days when they were really young, they listen to you, whatever, you tell stories, whatever. But then they get to that middle age where it's like, well, mom and dad will tell me this, but I need to reconfirm.
Yeah.
You know?
Like they listen to her and they're like, oh, really? Like, I just told you that 10 minutes ago. You didn't even listen to me.
Exactly. So that was fun of it. And I just will never, ever, it's just something that I hope we can experience again. Maybe next time we could do it with a group of friends that
are rich and give us and take us on one. We could do that.
That can pitch in because it's expensive, but I think because that's really fun. And I think doing the Disneyland one, like I know we didn't do Park Hopper, and it's California Adventure is so fun. There's so many rides to do there, but I really appreciated it, feeling the nostalgia of actually walking the footsteps of Walt with the tour guide, and really that elevated the experience for me. However, I think a Walt Disney World would be really fun because with that one you get transportation to, if you have a Park Hopper, you can go to all the parks and they bring you behind, so you really get the side entrance, which I think is part of the fun because you can see kind of an almost a way of just an extra layer of that story, you know, that how the show is performed. So to me, that's really fun.
Well, that was fun. I enjoyed the VIP tour. Listen, I don't know if we'll ever do it again, but it was a great one-time experience for sure.
Yeah.
And it was
super, super neat.
Well, I just want to thank everybody listening to the podcast too, because I mean, we probably, if we didn't do this podcast, we probably wouldn't do that.
It would be something, because it's out of reach.
We were like, all right, we can kind of, if we do that, we could talk about it on the podcast. It could be content. So,
but I do love the fact that, like, if you get a family together, and we all, I mean, traveling with friends and family, that's so fun, and having this as a special.
There's no stress. Like, if you want to go with your family, and most of the time it's stressful, and you do this, it takes the stress out.
And they customize it so if there's certain family members in your group that want to do certain things versus the other, they will accommodate.
But do they customize it?
Did I say that too many times?
Word of the show.
I thought I was getting so good at that.
You're good. It's all good.
I was like really not trying to hyperfixate on one word.
We have to do that. That's like part of the show now. If we don't have word of the show, then what are we going to say? Word of the show.
No. Okay, whatever. One other thing, we talked about gratuity a little bit. It is, up to you and obviously the service and however, but these guys are amazing. We actually met a guy too that was in the field working. We were told that their parents had just lost their home in the fires that were happening, and he was at work and putting on a smile and giving all the magic to the family that he was touring with, and that to me is like dedication. And wow, imagine going through something like you don't really know, and it was just something that I would just not forget. So I really appreciate all the cast members at Disneyland, and I really want to thank Brittany again for just an unforgettable experience.
I'm not going to cry.
Okay, thank you.
I promise you that.
Let's go.
But we appreciate you. Thank you. Is that going to do it for the PodCon?
I got to go.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Seriously, very much appreciated. We hope we put a smile on your face, even though Connie's crying at the moment.
All right. Well, you don't have to continue talking about it. Like, just don't talk about it, and then
they can see it. You're on camera.
Oh,
we'll go over to our YouTube channel, by the way. Hit subscribe. Watch the video there. Leave a comment.
Right.
If you have ever done a VIP tour, let us know how it went for you. Like, did you enjoy it? Would you do it again? Which park did you do it at? Which park did you wish you do it at?
How much ramen do you have to eat in order to do this?
Lots of ramen. But you can do it. I have faith in you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, everybody. We'll see you right back here next week.
Bye, everybody.